Next, we would like to invite up Rachael Loftus, the Head of Regional Health Partnerships at Leeds City Council.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachael Loftus in English. It's Misha Rachael Loftus in Irish. That's my mother tongue. To tell you a bit more about why I was asked to speak here today is I am the chair of Leeds Irish Health and Homes, which is an Irish community group here in Leeds. And it was basically, I think, a few words from Isa, from my diaspora community to yours, about how we keep alive our traditions. So for over 800 years, Ireland was occupied by the British and the Irish language was banned. My parents grew up at a time when it was still illegal to have learned Irish. And I could tell you two stories. One, I could tell you about an occupation where people's languages were banned, their cultures were banned, our traditions were banned. Or I could tell you another story of hope, which is that those traditions live on, that language lives on in the people. In the way that we gather, we tell our stories, we tell our songs. We tell about the ways that we resisted. I was really a favourite of mine, which is my uncle and my family are farmers. And they always talk to the cattle in Irish, in the Irish language. And I once said to my uncle, why do you do that? And he said, when his father was growing up and his father was growing up, that's how they taught each other the language. And if the soldiers came along and said, you're speaking Irish, they would say, the cattle don't know how to learn English. And that is how they taught each other to say. The Irish language, there's about 5 million people who live on the island of Ireland, about 20 million of us worldwide. And less than probably 5% of people speak Irish as their first language anymore. But that's in common with about half of the people of the world. About half of the people in this world are bilingual, some by choice, most not by choice. And linguists the world over divide language into two types of language, into parole and langue. And langue is the words, and it's how you form thought in your head. It's the patterns and the shapes of language that are given to you from your mother and from your mother's mother. And that language is language that can never be undone because it shapes even the way that you speak another language. So like many diaspora communities, I'm sure you worry that your children and your grandchildren are growing up speaking English, but they are surrounded by the sounds, the music, the way that you speak to each other. All of that is going into their brain and shaping the patterns of the way they think, not just the words that they use. And that be able to function in another language is administration. That's the brain, but mother language, long is the heart. And that's something that we all share in common as diaspora communities. And believe it or not, many of you already speak the Irish language because we went to so many places. Many of you might know the phrase, do you dig it? That comes from when the indentured Irish slaves were working in the Caribbean next to the African enslaved people. They would say in Irish to them, dig on too, do you understand? And the African slaves started to hear this dig on too, and they just said, do you dig it? Do you dig it? And that's the way language has survived. In Irish we say slán. Slán lá for means farewell. That came into English to mean so long. Many of you might watch Coronation Street and you'd hear people say "Tara Chuck." That comes from the Irish, from the famine, when people came to Manchester and would say Tarara. Tarara meaning take care. And it survives today. So language always survives. The oppressors should know this. The biggest and first language you should know from oppression is it never works. It doesn't matter how you try. The roots of language will always survive. There's a great phrase in the women's movement that is, they tried to bury us, but they forgot that we're seeds. And that's language. that's language. So every time you speak your language, every time you share your language, every time you bring your children to hear music, to hear voice, that is mother tongue. And mother tongue is with us whether we survive oppression or not. And I think that's the biggest story I can tell you is it's one of hope. And the diaspora community of Ireland here in Leeds, you're welcome to come and share with us. St Patrick's Day is traditionally celebrated on the 17th of March, and that comes from the fact that even the colour green was banned for a time in Ireland. The wearing of the green is something we still do as a proud way of keeping our heritage and culture alive. So if you'd like to come and join us on the 17th of March, come and join our diaspora. You're very welcome. You will hear our songs, you will hear our words, and you will definitely hear our language. So thank you very much for having me. Good luck.